Welcome back. So, in this is the last of my four-part series on burnout. And just as a recap, first of all, we in the first week I talked about definitions of burnout and myths. Then we went into sources of burnout, creating a new identity that is less burnout prone. Talked about allies and support systems, and how to assess your relationships, because it's so important that when one is dealing with life and burnout and the stresses of life, basically, that one has the right relationships around one. Now, today, I'm going to talk about new options and a new life. So, because the last thing you want to do is do all this stuff, create a life where you're burnout free and not take care of the missing pieces and then go back into a burnt out state. So, the last but not the least is new options, new life. So, today I'm going to be talking about new options, new life. This is really short because guess what? The new options and the new life for everybody is going to be as individual as each person. Okay? Now, what do I mean by new options? William Osler said, the young doctor should look about early for an avocation that takes him or her away from pills, patients, and potions. Of course, at the time of William Osler, I guess most of the doctors, maybe all the doctors were men. It applies to him, it applies to her. So my question to you is this. What are you passionate about outside of medicine? And when I say passionate, I don't mean just, I'd like to be able to weave baskets one day. No, I'm like, if not for medicine, if they wake you up in the night and say, what do you like? These are the things that will roll off your tongue. Now, maybe you don't know at this point, but it's okay. It's good to take time to figure things out. Maybe sometimes you have to go back to the things you liked when you were a child, or the things you used to do before you entered the medical field, things that gave you so much joy. What are you passionate about? And add those things into your life every single day. Find an avocation. Find a hobby. Find something else outside of medicine. Medicine was never meant to be to take over your whole life long. Yes, it's some people say medicine is a calling, and yes, it can be, and but the truth is that there are other aspects of our lives as doctors, and none of those should be neglected. What are you passionate about that's not necessarily a medical thing? And write them down. They may be hundreds, it may be one. Either way, great. Now, the next question to ask yourself is, what are you passionate about that you're good at? Okay? Now, we could be passionate about some things and not necessarily good at them, right? Some people like to sing. They love to sing. But, if you hear them sing, it sounds like somebody stepped on a person's cat, right? So, not everything that you're passionate about is something you're good at. So that's going to be your second list. Make a list of all those things you say you're passionate about. Which of them are you good at? Okay. Now, the last but not the least, which is where I play, what are you passionate about? And remember, this is outside of medicine. What are you passionate about, good at, and it's something that can add value to people, i.e. something people want. Either they will pay for it or they will not, but it's something that people want. And now, guess what? If you can answer that question and narrow it down, you just started the process of finding the keys to your calling. Let me tell you something about calling, right? And now we're talking about outside of medicine, right? So you have to be good at it, you have to love it, and it has to be something people want, right? And sometimes people say something that people will buy, but the thing is that maybe the thing you're passionate about is, helping the homeless, or I had a client once who was had an organization to help rescue animals. So the animals can't pay clearly, and maybe the homeless can't pay, but somebody, if you have a cause, people will line up. If you're passionate about your cause and you push it forward, people will line up behind your cause to fund it. So, start to think about what's your next thing, what's your outside medicine thing, that because what happens is those things help rescue you from burnout. Remember, when I shared my story, I talked about the two things that helped me: finding my passion with writing and the support system. The system I was working in did not fundamentally change, but, all in all, I was no longer burnt out. I was able to happily finish my residency and go on to have a great career. I won awards, my patients loved me, and the natural progression of things was for me to eventually retire and do this work full time. Now, people ask me this all the time: did you leave medicine because you were burnt out? The answer is absolutely not. I suffered with burnout in 2007, 2008, and I continued to practice clinically and then non-clinically all the way up to 2020 when, this just, kind of took off, and now this is just what I do. But coaching fellow physicians, coaching physicians out of burnout and into new options and new life. It's not enough to say, oh, you know what, I'm going to solve burnout by meditating every day. Meditating is not the solution to burnout. Does meditation help? Absolutely. Anything that can help you have a calmer mind helps. And if you notice, in this 4-part series, not one time did I talk about meditation. Not one time did I talk about physician wellness programs. No, I didn't talk about any of that. You become your own wellness program. Become your own wellness program. And if you need support, hire a coach. That's the thing. There are people who have meditation programs, and I use a couple of them. I have these apps on my phone, and I've attended meditation retreats and stuff like that. So yes, I absolutely believe in meditation, but meditation is not the one size fits all solution to burnout. Meditation does not cure burnout. The burnout is not a meditation deficiency. It's not. It's systemic, it's organizational, it's personal, it comes from a whole slew of factors. And when we know what factors are contributing to our own burnout, then we can take the steps. Then we can do the thing that's the next best thing for us. Now, to redefine, burnout is a legitimate condition. Remember this, it's legitimate. So it's not made up. Like some people feel like some things are just made up. Burnout is a legitimate condition of chronic stress characterized by emotional exhaustion, depersonalization, that's where you have the compassion fatigue and cynicism, and a lack of sense of personal accomplishment. So now, if you're in burnout or you're headed toward burnout, these are my final thoughts as I come to the end of this 4-part series. I hope you really enjoyed it. And if this is the first time you're seeing me or hearing me, because this is going on podcast as well, it's the first time you're seeing me or hearing me, go back and listen to the other 3 episodes. Number 1, burnout is not your fault. Years and years of indoctrination in medicine have made us believe that we have to shed bits of our humanity to become good doctors. And it leads to the belief that if we're not stoic and unemotional, it means we are weak. It's not true. Burnout is not a state of weakness, right? It's a state of chronic stress. Number 2, refuse to live a life of guilt. Because the more you can be guilted into feeling that burnout is your fault, the more you will not do anything about it. You'll hide in shame. And as I'm recording this, a couple of days ago, an ER doctor died by suicide, which is so tragic, right? It's so tragic. But this is one of the, and I don't know everything about this doctor, but we do know that burnout has led to suicide in physicians. So, because when we feel things are our fault, we feel we need more resilience, and we don't tell anybody what we're going through, and we self silence ourselves. Yeah, I know that's tautology. We self silence ourselves. We self silence, pretending everything is okay, until we're so mentally frazzled that we feel the only way out is for us to die. Okay, so don't feel guilty if your mental state is not what you want it to be. Just reach out to somebody, reach out to me. I'm going to put my details in this the notes and all of that, and we can get on the phone and we can talk. Now, number 3, seek help and support. I liken it to this, to any other disease. For example, if you developed diabetes with your blood sugar being 600, you would go to see a doctor in a hospital, probably, and they will give you insulin and probably other medications. If you had high blood pressure, you would go and see a doctor and they would give you medicines. If you got shot in the leg, you would go to an emergency room where they will remove the bullet and patch you up. It's the same thing. If you're suffering with burnout, go see somebody. See a psychiatrist, see a therapist, talk to your coach. Start by talking even to your friends and your family and your fellow doctors, right? Talk to somebody, seek help and support. And I talked about the allies, support systems and all that in previous episode. Number 4, prioritize your health. If you don't see your health as a priority, when you suffer with burnout, you won't take care of yourself. You keep brushing it aside and just saying you need more resilience and you have to work harder. Prioritize your health, your physical health, your emotional health, your mental health, your spiritual health, right? Get your checkups, eat right. Because, sometimes when we're sad and unhappy, we turn to comfort foods, and those things make things worse. So you're eating like chocolates, cookies, all these fried foods and stuff, and maybe drinking alcohol, smoking, things like that, in order to relieve stress and burnout. But that's not the thing to turn to. Prioritize your health. Your health is important. Only a healthy doctor can get the next job and the next job and the next job. And last but not the least, well, not last, sorry. Number 5, dialogue. Now, more than ever, when I burnt out, that word wasn't being thrown around, as it were, right? People weren't using the word burnout to describe anything. But now there's more awareness, right? People are talking about burnout. So you can be a physician that's at the forefront, and I'm talking about things like this in a holistic way, not in we're burnt out, let's go and meditate or do a retreat or do a wellness program. Wellness programs and retreats and meditations have their place, but there are organizational solutions that can be brought into play. For example, let's say the reason why you're burned out is because you don't have enough staff. That is a dialogue that you can enter into with your organization, as opposed to just keeping quiet and going through it. Whoever is in the chain of command, start the dialogue. That doesn't mean busting into someone's office and saying, I've had it. Absolutely not. But it does mean going ahead to open up the conversation with regards to burnout. There's so much research on burnout. There's so much research on the dangers of burnout. I did a whole white paper on burnout that I presented to the Illinois Supreme Court Commission on Professionalism, and they approved it. So it's relevant to talk about. Make a note of organizational factors that are contributing to burnout if you are burnt out. Make a note of them and start to make a case for yourself with various suggestions that will benefit not just you, but your patient and the organization, because we have to have a win-win approach to things. Because that sometimes is the missing piece when it comes to dialogue. Sometimes we want something so much, and we see, it's like we go into this, I can see it, how come you all can't? Right? But that's not the energy you want to go in with. You want to go in with a sort of win-win approach where I win, the organization wins, the patient wins, and everybody wins. But the truth is that maybe not all your suggestions will be taken, right? But if you never start the dialogue, you will never know. You will never know. Do your presentations, do your homework, And this can be hard, right? If you're the one that's suffering burnout, I would say, take care of yourself first. Put on your own oxygen mask before you put on the oxygen mask of others. So, start to take care. That's why I prioritize your health. You have to take care of your health. And then when you're starting to feel a little bit like your head is a little bit above water, start to have dialogue with your organization. But the truth is that without the organization doing anything, you don't have to live a life of burnout, because your life is your life. Okay? Prioritize, number 6, prioritize the well-being of yourself and your patients, right? Your well-being. Prioritize your health, prioritize your well-being of yourself and your patient over the desire to be seen to rock the boat. Sometimes we don't want to rock the boat, so we just grind through without saying anything. And sometimes if you come to a stalemate, you may have to leave the organization. And it's perfectly acceptable to leave an organization that's no longer working for you. Now, I'm not saying jump around from job to job to job to job, month in, month out. Absolutely not. But what I am saying is that, you don't have to stay in an organization that's, where you're completely burnt out. You've done everything you can. You've dialogued, you've prioritized, but it just keeps coming at you. Or you have maybe toxic bosses. You are free to leave. It's a free country. You're free to start looking for another job. You're a doctor. You have options. You have many options. You just have to look for them. And if you don't have any, if you think you don't have any, call your coach. If you don't have a coach, call me. If you don't have a coach, call me. My information you can get on my calendar. See, I'm not sending you to a website. I'm sending you straight to my calendar. Go to my website and look at. No, I'm right here. I'm right here. I am more than the sum total of what any website has to say about me. I'm right here. Book a call, get on my calendar, and let's talk. When we talk, I will explain to you how I can help you, and we can see if you are fit for my program, and you too will see if my program is a fit for you. Book a call with me. Number 7, last but not the least, seek an outlet that has nothing to do with medicine. For me, it was writing, which evolved into speaking and coaching and helping physicians and being an advocate for physicians. Burnout is real, but you don't have to suffer with it. And if you do want to work with me on a one-on-one, like I said, the link to my calendar is there. Now, fine, if you want to learn about me, you can go to my website, shalaezokoli.com, or you can just Google my name, Shala Ezokoli. Everything that comes up is going to be about me. And that might even be better, because then you'll see the other things I've done in other places, other presentations I've done, etc. But here we are. If you're listening to this and you've listened to the weekly episodes, you don't have to suffer with burnout. You don't have to be burnt out. There are more options for you outside and inside of medicine. But sometimes if you don't know, you don't know. And sometimes you may need someone to walk you through what your personal options are. And that's why I love the one-on-one space, because I can work with people, the presentations and the podcasts and the YouTube videos, they're kind of cookie cutter. They're a bit more general. But if you want to work with me specifically, just book a call with me. So thank you very much. If you've come this far, thank you for listening. And I'm so glad to have been able to do this series on podcast and on YouTube, the Mentor of Life podcast. I will be doing more topics in future, client success interviews. And so, follow me for more episodes. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. My podcast can be found on Anchor and Spotify. And let's let's do this. Let's do this. Let's live burnout free lives, because burnout is not normal. It's real, but you do not have to suffer with it. Thank you for watching or listening.